This is your season to let go, your season to thrive, and your season to fully move forward. So as promised, I'm back on and we're going to do a Q&A for my newest book, The Freedom of Forward. And we're going to allocate some time for you to ask me any questions that you have, request page numbers to be read, and also learn a little bit more about my mental and spiritual journey, as well as the meanings behind many of my books. So as you guys get on, I'm going to find pages to read. And last live, I read the introduction. So as we wait for people to come on this one, I am going to read. Okay, I'll start here. Those on their journey of healing and growth often seek and appreciate words of wisdom, yet seldom understand the depth of the wounds that had to exist for that wisdom to mature, or the scars and thorns that still remain to inspire today's testimonies. The same strongholds that crippled and condemned me also inspired and ignited my creativity. And although poetry, prose, and a unique perspective grew from the fruits of my frustrations, life experiences, inner work, and faith, my failure to uproot seeds of suffering, strife, self-criticism, and sadness only left room for negative self-talk, irrational fear, doubt, and pain to blossom. This led me to becoming my own roadblock on my journey. I found myself walking in what I'd prayed and prepared for, grateful for every ordered step and stop that directed me thus far, yet unsettled, knowing in my heart that something was missing. Better yet, I was harboring something that didn't belong. I was making external strides, glowing, growing, and thriving. But internally, the impact was stunted because my mind was not completely free of the shackles I allowed to be placed upon it. Fixating on, fearful of, and flustered by what I couldn't control, acknowledge, or release, or forget. Tired of holding on to what was never meant for me to carry, yet too accustomed to its presence to easily release. This book is really for the person, as you can tell just reading this one page. It's for the person that is tired of holding on to those internal weights, whether it's condemnation, people-pleasing, trauma, resentment, anger. I think we all have a cross that we carry, and sometimes it's easier for us to just keep moving forward with it because we're accustomed to it. Some of us are carrying shame, guilt, anger, resentment that we've carried for 5, 10, 20, 30 years. Because honestly, we really don't even know what it would be like to not have it. We make these excuses, or we look at everything through a lens of our pain or our paranoia or past pressures, and then we wonder why we don't feel free and joyous in this current season. So this book really, for me, was healing because I was able to articulate that internal battle between flesh and spirit for a person, especially that's on their journey of surrendering everything to God, no matter what it is, and making peace in their mind and reaffirming to themselves that all things do work together, that it took wounds to get this wisdom, that everything you experienced and endured, really aligned you with your insight. And that's really how I believe that we can move forward in freedom, if we give ourselves permission to feel and truly acknowledge the thorns in our side that actually exist there. So as I see you guys coming on, if you have any questions or you want a certain page number read, let me know. But again, I'll see what time is it. Yeah, so we'll give the next few minutes just for people coming, and I'll pick another page to read from. Okay, so I'll pick this. This is from part 3. This is page 168. And it reads, "You can continue to cry over the pains of the past that broke your heart, yet opened your eyes. Call yourself every name in the book and recall every detail you experienced throughout your life. Or maybe, just maybe, you can use the wisdom and knowledge you acquired from it all to honestly look a person in their eyes and genuinely say, I've been there. Maybe you can tell yourself, but I know better now. Maybe you can finally extend the grace and compassion you denied yourself for so long by saying, I forgive you." And that is something that I think many of us struggle with. And that is not only forgiving what was done to us or forgiving what we did or didn't do, but really looking back without anger, really looking back without seeing a fool with this new wisdom that you have, and realizing that every single experience, every mistake, every offense really did lead to your learning, led to you being the person that you are. And how can you expect to move forward if you didn't experience all that is behind you? So I think that is a critical perspective that many of us need. And I really want to come across this book. So again, if there are any questions, I know this is an odd time, but oh, thank you, Brian. I love you too. And I look forward to sharing the book with you. You know, usually I get on here, and it's very seldom, but I usually come on with a word or just a life lesson that I learned. So, you know, to be on here talking about the book and really opening the floor for people to share their views, their perspectives, their lessons, or just questions that they have, I really appreciate you guys being here, because truly the whole point of the books, the whole point of the platforms is to build that community where people understand there are like-minded individuals that want to grow and heal and understand themselves and other people. There are people that really look for God's strategy in every season that they've experienced and endured, and find peace in connecting with others and using that empathy that they have. So let's see, what is this? Okay. And excuse Remy if she has a toy that she keeps squeaking. It's this little hog. Of course, she's going to make noise when I'm on here, so just bear with us. Let's see. And I will read. Okay, I'm going to read page 81. And that page reads, I respect your choice, even if you don't choose me. I accept your opinions and feelings, even if they do not align with who I am. I've wasted enough time hoping you'd see me or receive the words I've shared all this time. I no longer concern myself with who I can lose at this point. I simply refuse to lose my focus, faith, or myself again. And, you know, I think whenever you are getting to that point, when you're releasing people-pleasing and offense, one of the things that helped me is understanding that I was not put on this planet to be liked, accepted, understood, believed, and cared for by all people. And that is something I struggled with for a long time, because I really thought who I was what everyone else wanted me to be. I remember when I first got into therapy, and I got into therapy maybe 19, but 25, of course, if you read my books, 25 was when I really did that identifying and, you know, assessing myself and taking accountability and really trying to understand the roots of the fruits of my life. And I realized I couldn't even say what my hobbies were because I didn't know. I so much wanted to not disappoint people. I so much wanted to be loved and liked and accepted by people that I didn't even know who the most important person in my life was, and that was me. And, you know, at this point, and I look back at so much and all the nights I lost sleep and all the tears I cried and all the concerns that I had, it really was, I don't want to say it was wasted, because I don't believe anything in life is wasted, but it was pointless, because all that time I was worried about what people saw, thought, believed, said. Really what God wanted me to do was know who I am and whose I belong, and what my purpose was, and the strengths and weaknesses within myself. And whenever I understood that, whenever I made peace with who I am and who I'm not, and I understood what I'm actually here for, it helped me release a lot, because I realized that I was really chasing the wrong goal. I was concerned about the wrong things. It's never about everyone else. You know, we hold on to this unforgiveness of what people did or didn't do. We hold on to this unforgiveness towards ourselves, what we should have done or could have done, but we didn't, or we did. Instead of looking at what God really taught us, what he really shielded us from. It's all perspective. It's all what you focus on. It's all where you place your faith in your life. And you can't be a slave to two masters. Or are you going to be fixated on what God thinks and knows? Or are you going to be fixated on what people think, including yourself? So it's really, coming to terms with that. So, I don't know if there's anything, and let's see, Brian, thank you so much. Brian, do you have any question that you'd like to ask, or any page that you would like for me to read? I'd love to do that for you. And again, I'm still one of these people that, I don't know, it's not that I don't like being on live. I love it. I love connecting with you guys, but I'm an introverted person. So of course my big thing is writing, and I'm really in this season of life where, I'm called to connect. So I thank you for being here and connecting with me and Remy, apparently. And while I wait, I'm going to read another page. I think this aligns actually with what we were talking about. Your discontentment comes from worrying about what people think instead of standing on what you know. You know better. You know every detail of your conversations, experiences, and emotions because they are yours alone. You understand the background of every optic and opinion because you actually lived it. Instead of dwelling on the feelings and words of others, rest in the truth and the fact that you know better. I'm seeing two. I see two questions. Again, kind of like we said, that took me a while to really understand. I made myself really put all my time, energy, and attention to my fears, to my insecurities, to my people pleasing. And then I wondered why I didn't have peace, why I didn't have, a relaxed state, why I couldn't focus. And it was because I was giving my time, energy, and attention to the wrong things. I was so fixated and holding on to things that God told me to let go of. I was so concerned with optics and opinions and my own expectations that I was out of order. You can't live like that. You can live, you can function, but you can't be at peace like that. And if there's something I can go back and tell my former self, it would be that truth. So many of us are taught you should not care about words and you should be unbothered. And that's just not how many of us are wired. I'm a person whose gift is my words. My love language is words of affirmation. Words mean a lot to me. The meaning of words mean a lot to me. The way that I articulate myself means a lot to me. So one would imagine that the words of others would hold meaning in my life. But the problem is, I gave so much focus and put so much weight on the wrong words or the wrong people or the wrong thoughts and imagination that I wasn't living in the present, that I wasn't really paying attention and fully walking in those ordered steps and stops because I'm listening to my own internal conversation. I'm having a battle with myself. So if you're a person that is the same way, where words mean so much to you and you dwell on them. Remember in the Bible, it says, what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And every time I see that online, everyone takes out the in his heart, which is the most important part of the verse. Because when you let something into your heart, you've made that a part of your identity. You really look at that as your truth. Do you know how many things people are going to say to you and about you in your life that are not true? that do not align with what you've lived, that do not align with how you feel, that do not align with your core beliefs. And if you meditate on that more than you remind yourself of your truth or your heart posture or your purpose, do you know you can find yourself believing lies about you, entertaining lies about you, whether it's from the enemy spiritually or from people that project themselves upon you or their insecurities upon you? You have to be very careful of what words you focus on, what words you repeat and you replay, because that sticks with you. And before you know it, you have this pattern, or this thought pattern that is completely against what you stand on. So be very careful of that. And Brian, I say, when are you going to book tour in Milwaukee? I don't know. Hopefully, I'm really interested in doing a couple more stops this year. Again, I just came back from Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and San Francisco. But I definitely want to reach out and do more book signings, because it's an amazing opportunity to really meet people that, I feel like I know you guys because, through the years and through the books, we've connected, we've conversed, and truly created this community. So I don't know, Brian, but be on the lookout, because you may be surprised by the end of this year where I end up. And if I do go to Milwaukee, I will be sure to plaster it on social media so you'll know when and where that is. And then I see Courtney. Morgan, you have given me hope and strength through one of the most trying times of my life. I'm forever grateful for you and your words. Thank you, Courtney. I appreciate that. And honestly, I'm grateful to share with you. It's one of those beautiful things that whenever you do write and whenever you do speak or you create those environments and communities, it not only helps you feel seen, but it also reminds me that I'm not alone either. That's the beauty of purpose work, that everyone, a part of it, is blessed by it, they receive their own fulfillment from it. So I thank you for being a part of these conversations and joining me on my journey, just like you let me join you. And I see, thank you, Justin. You're a good person. Well, thank you. Carla, I'm figuring out those things right now. Sometimes it's sitting in silence. And guys, there's a reason why I always talk about silence and why it's so important. And that's really when you learn. As long as you're reacting and trying to prove points or trying to control things, you're really not seeing what God is trying to reveal to you. And that's where a lot of us mess up. We pray, we always say that Amazon prayer, God reveal in me any hindrances in my life, anything in me that is not like you or not aligned with you. And then we pray for the revelation of people that are not assigned or aligned to us. Pray that people are revealed that do not have our best interests at heart, or that don't love us, or all these things. And then when those prayers get answered, we really mistake it as a whole nother storm when actually they're answered prayers. And that's the beauty of silence. You see everything and everyone, including yourself, as is, not how you want it to be. And as a person, as you know, that was in a season of being still for multiple years, not reacting, being instructed to be still, just observe, learn. That was extremely difficult. That was extremely depressing, because not only are things being revealed to me, I couldn't respond to them. I couldn't react to them, because, some people are overachievers, and I was always this person like, God, please reveal. I would beg him and promise I won't do it. I'll speak life, I'll pray all this stuff. And then when he would do it, after a while, you're like, okay, God, can you just send me like a text message? Because this is excruciating. Is there anyone left at this point? And I joke about it now, but it's extremely difficult, because 9 times out of 10, the people that shock you or hurt you or let you down most are the people that you feel like you would never do that to. That people that you just wouldn't expect. But even in that, you learn that that anger, that offense really is rooted in unmet expectations. That resentment is rooted in those unspoken, unexpressed offenses. And when you get out of that season of silence, whenever you get out of that season of being still, and God has pruned you and he has shown you these are things that you need to work on within yourself. These are people, family, friend, environment that are not assigned or aligned to your life. If you think that you're sensitive now, it is just excruciating, because now you have to pick up the pieces and you have to learn to not only trust other people again, you have to learn how to trust yourself. Because in that revelation, you realize, how could I not see this sooner? How could I not know that this person or these people or this routine of mine or this friend or this family member is not and was never aligned with me, or they're not meant to go where I want to go, not even just because they are not capable or lack it, but they truly have no desire. Not everyone wants to grow. Not everyone wants to heal. Not everyone wants to see you healed, growing, thriving, successful, healthy. It's difficult, but it's something that we all experience. And unfortunately, we don't talk about. We'll go through these seasons. We'll have quarter life crisis, midlife crisis, spiritual awakenings, gain relationships with God, have we'll do all of these things, and we don't say a word because we think that no one understands. And then, mind you, again, going back to silence, we also don't say a word because sometimes that's the greatest thing that you can do is be still. Don't give your problems to people that don't have solutions. They're only going to create more problems, right? But for the people that need to know that they're not alone, for the people that need to know you're not crazy, for the people that need to know, listen, when you give your life and you start living a spiritually led life, you are going to be hit with so many tests, so many dreams, so much emotion to the point that you feel numb. Nobody wants to say that. So everyone thinks they're crazy. Everyone thinks they're crazy. Everyone thinks that no one's going to understand, and that's not the reality of it. We just don't want to talk about it. And, I was saying to one of my mentors recently, I did an interview, and I said, look, I don't know if this sounds, harsh, but I'm so tired of people wanting to talk about mental health and faith and spiritual warfare at repasses. What is the good? Why are you doing that then? Shouldn't we be having these conversations no matter what community you're part of? I could say in my community, the Black community, we don't talk about therapy. We talk about praying, which is great, which we need to have a relationship with God. But don't you think it's imperative that we discover our voids? Maybe we do have trauma. Maybe we do need to talk to a therapist. Maybe because something has been in our family, whether it's depression, anxiety, whatever it is, instead of saying that's how we are, that's how the family is, shouldn't someone stand up and say, it's going to end with me, I'm going to be a generational curse breaker? Shouldn't someone do that? And I think we just have to be honest with ourselves and say, even if no one is with me, even if I have to take this path and it's uncomfortable and people mock me and they misunderstand me or they purposely go out of their way to misinterpret every word that I say, I'm still going to do it because that is what I'm purposed to do. We have to do that. So again, I went off on a tangent. I'm giving y'all a little church up in here, but it is so important because it ties back to the book, because this is the last part of the process. I was telling people that usually my poetry and prose collections are 160 pages. This book is 245 pages because I needed to say things. I needed to get things out. I needed to release them from me. I needed to give myself permission to say, no, I struggle with condemnation. I struggle with, unexpressed offense. I struggle with insecurity. I've been having this issue. I struggle with forgiving people. I struggle with the fact that I was quiet and I spiritually passed tests, but my flesh was ready to completely lose it. I have struggled with things. But the thing is, we all do. There are people watching this now, and I'm so happy that this is a smaller, more intimate live, because I feel like I can just say whatever. But you have something that you've been carrying with you, whether you tell people or not. You have something that you've experienced that maybe you didn't share because no one asked. You felt no one would believe. You felt no one would understand. And there you are, looking at life through the lens of your pain, through the lens of feeling like no one is going to get it. We all have those things. We just don't want to admit them. We all have struggles. We all have weaknesses. We all have insecurities. Some of us just do a better job at hiding that than others. But I just refuse to be that person. I've put in enough years of people pleasing. I've put in enough years of being everyone's yes woman. I've put in enough years of being a therapist or giving advice when I do not have a degree in psychology, and that's not my job to fix people or change people. I know what my purpose is. I know what I'm here for. And for me to actually walk in those things, for me to live in abundance, for me to have peace and joy and alignment and success, I have to release what no longer serves me. I have to make room by releasing weights, mental, spiritual, emotional weights that do not belong there. And so do you. Yes, and so do you, Nikki. But we just have to be okay with that. And be okay if other people don't get it. Be okay if people mock you. Be okay if people create narratives about you. It is showing you more about them than it is about you. And boy, I wish I knew that. My younger self knew that. Boy, I wish my younger self understood that everything in life is revelation. Everything in life is an opportunity to grow. Every single thing that God gets you through and brings you to is for you to better understand him and yourself. I wish I knew that. But I can't go back in time and tell myself that, but I could tell you that. I can tell a person that's maybe going through a time where they just feel like no one understands. I could tell that to a person that feels everything so deeply and does not know how to articulate it. I can tell you. And you can do the same to other people. And that's the point of it all. So again, going back to the book, because again, I will have like a whole word on these things. But what I want more than anything, of course, I'm an author and I share my books, but more than anything, my purpose and my mission and my goal is to help people get to therapy, get to God, get to peace, get to that point of their life where they can see clearly who they are, where they can see clearly God's hand in their life, where they can see clearly, maybe I have some issues, I need to go to a therapist, I need to seek wise counsel, I need to pray, whatever that is. I need to get myself right. Yeah. Oh, Nikki said I'm Jewish. I don't know much about the Bible. Well, if you want to know more, you could, converse with me. Or again, if you're Jewish, you can still pray and talk to God. And I think that's another thing that we miss out on. We all have differences. We all come from different places. Some of us have different beliefs. Okay? We have different journeys, but I can tell you something. Me being a Christian and you being Jewish, we probably both know what depression feels like, what anxiety feels like. We probably both know what it's like to have those conversations and be hard on ourselves. Why don't we share and converse and encourage each other from what we do share in common and help each other, women, men, whatever? Why don't we do that? And I think that's important, and that's why I love conversations like this. To be able to connect with people that are not just like me. That's how you learn. You're not going to learn anything if everyone has the same exact struggles and upbringing and beliefs that you do. And I don't know how people feel about that, but that's just how I've always taught it. You connect with people and you encourage them. And thank you, Justin. And Lauren, religion tries to separate us from each other, but if we all love God, that is all that matters. And you know it? And I'm sorry, I'm on this chair. I don't have, chairs. I just moved. So I'm literally sitting on another table. So if that, sorry for the noises. But that's another thing. It is what's coming out of you. Do you know how many people go to a church and do not realize that they are the church? Do you know how many people sit in a pew and then they leave and they sit and talk about other people? You can talk about God all day, but if he's not in you, that fruit will tell louder than any words that you speak. You know, we have to do that. We have to be those encouragers for each other. We have to be people that speak life into ourselves and to other people. And there's so much peace in that. There's so much, and I'm going to say power in that because it's true. You know, do what you can to encourage others. Do what you can to be the person that you needed. Do what you can to be a safe space. You know, if you look around and you're like, everybody's so fake, well, then you be real. If you look around and you feel like no one is there for other people, then you be that person. You know, I just think that we so much focus on the lack that we don't use it as an opportunity to really show up for ourselves and other people. Let's see. And I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling. So let me get you guys, what questions do you have? Because I am just talking away. Everyone asks me a question. It could be to read a page number or just whatever question that you have. Again, this is like a small live and I'm really liking this. I feel like we're all just in a little room right now. So whatever it is, ask me. I'm open to it, and I probably should turn on a light in here. Still learning where everything is. Hold on. Oh, that's outside. Can y'all see me? Woo! Yeah, it is bright. Oh, thank you. Okay. Let's read as I wait for you guys to give me a page number. Let's see. Okay, I'll read this one. It's about, oh, hold on. Okay, so Joshua said, how would you encourage the church at large to better reach out and show the love of Christ to the world around them? Well, honestly, I would be loving. You know, a lot of people don't understand that that is the core of it all, love. Yes, we do have a God that, I'm gonna just say it like this. I grew up in a church where we learned so much of don't sin, don't sin, don't sin, don't fall out of line, don't fall short, that I feel like we hyper fixated on being perfect people, but did not understand that all throughout the Bible, the only one that was perfect was Jesus. Everybody had issues, mental, spiritual, emotional, personal, relational issues, but God still chose them. He still gave them a purpose. We still learned from them, whether they initially passed the test or not. And I think that if you really want to show the love of Christ, or you want to be an example of him, be a loving person, a compassionate person, a person that sees someone at their lowest and lifts them up, encourages them, empathizes with them, brings them to this awareness. Chastity, you can get it at modernmorgan.com or on my shop on Facebook. But yes, that is how you show who God is. You do not show the love of Christ by acting like you are God himself. You do not show the love of Christ by making people feel like they are worthless because they are not perfect, or they don't look like you, or they don't come from where you come from. You don't show the love of Christ by making people feel like they're damaged goods, or looking at yourself as damaged goods because you're not perfect, or you're still learning, or you're struggling with something. So I think the greatest way for the church to do that is remember that, again, you are the church. You don't have to have a whole ministry behind you to feed a homeless person. You don't have to have a group of people telling you, hey, go speak life into this person, encourage this person, be a safe space for them to share what's going on or share their aspirations or insecurities. Just doing that can make the world of a difference. And they don't see you necessarily even with the Bible, but they know whatever you have, they want. Whatever peace you have, they want. Whatever joy and abundance that you have, that you're not boasting, you're just living in, they want. So if you want people to learn more about Jesus, if you want people to build a relationship with God, if you want people to get into therapy, show them what healed people look like. Show them what loving people look like. Show them what compassionate people look like. And you'll be amazed at how much that'll not only change that person's life, but it'll also change yours. Let's see. I don't even know how I got here, but I know that I needed this because all that's going on in the world is giving me such anxiety. Yeah. There's so much happening in the world, and I think the scariest part is that people don't see it. And I'm not even saying complete like world issues. I'm saying in your own communities, people don't see that something is wrong, that people don't have remorse or conviction, that people don't have compassion, that something crazy will go on and it's just another crazy thing that happened. That is, I agree. It tempts you to really get anxious and paranoid because the world is changing and the people in it are just, it's not the same. So what chapter of your newest book moves you the most? So in the Freedom of Forward, I have 3 parts, and it is, let's see, hold on, let me go back to it. I want to say it's feeling, freedom, and forward. Let's see. Mind you, I write a lot. But the way that I have the book is where they always start off with that heaviness. And then the middle of the book kind of gives you that opportunity to reframe and have clarity. And then the end is walking forward with wisdom. But ironically, the second part of the book, which was freeing, which is about forgiveness, I feel like that's my favorite part because it is so raw. Like I am saying things in there where there is no sugarcoating. I'm telling you what I feel. I'm telling you, you're going to hear anger. You're going to hear passive aggressive. You're going to hear pride. You're going to hear condemnation. You're going to hear regret. You're going to hear insecurity by what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. And you're probably wondering, why would that be my favorite part? But it's my favorite part because I really was freeing myself of it. Sometimes you really have to audit your thoughts and write your thoughts to understand this no longer serves me. This is not in alignment with what I know spiritually. This is not what God has for me. And by putting it out there, a lot of times the reader can honestly say, I feel like this, or I felt like this, and I thought I was the only person. I feel like this. I would never say this, but this is how I feel. I'm going to say it. And whether it's misinterpreted or misunderstood, that's not my cross to carry. What I'm ordered to do is share it. And how people take it, hopefully it's confirmation. And if it can, if it's not, I can't control that right after it's published, but I know what my motives are. And I think that sharing those heavy thoughts and feelings and owning up to the fact that I struggled and still in a lot of ways struggle with forgiveness. And, and God has to humble me. Recently, that's the thing. You can be healed and you can be healing, but you're still going to be triggered by things. You're still going to have those moments where God uses situations as a mirror and says, hold on, you still have a thorn in your side there. You still need to work on this. You're still sounding very fleshy there, saying I, me. And to be honest with you, I think just being honest with the fact that forgiveness was a hard thing. And forgiveness is hard for a lot of us because we can forgive, but it doesn't mean we forgot. Doesn't mean we forgot how something impacted us. It doesn't mean that we forgot how it changed our lives, the way we think, the way we live, the levels of trust we're willing to extend to other people. It doesn't change that. So I put that, and hopefully that will free other people. Just being honest about it. And again, thank you. See, you reach my soul, and thank you so much. But yeah, that's just the reality of it. You know, we all go through things, and if, you know, I'm looking at the time, but we're all gonna go through things in life. We're all gonna hurt people, and we're all gonna be hurt by people. And that's not an easy pill to swallow. We're gonna be let down by people. We're gonna let people down. We're gonna let ourselves down. We're gonna have times where everyone in the world thinks that we are just killing it, and we're crying in the shower and in the car on the way to work. We're gonna have times where we look like we have everything all put together, and we are struggling just to figure out how to function. We're all gonna have times like that. We've all had times like that. But it's what you gain and what you learn, and honestly, what you give to God and what you allow Him to do. It's a choice. You know, everyone says that, like, God's not going to force you to follow Him. He's not going to force you to listen and carry out what He says. That's will. You have to make that choice. You have free will. But I can honestly tell you, whenever you realize that you're not on this planet just to have a human experience, you know, you're a spirit, you're a soul, you have a purpose here. I can honestly tell you it changes a lot. It changes how you look at yourself, how you respond. It changes how you see other people. It softens your heart. It softens your heart even people. You realize that, you know, they have that quote, hurt people. But you realize a lot of times the only reason why people can give you pain and disorder and chaos and deception is because those things reside within them. So we can be mad at them and hate them, but honestly, we're called to pray for these people. We're called to pray for ourselves. We're called to turn the other cheek when it's difficult. We're called to extend grace and mercy and forgiveness, even if there's no apology or acknowledgement. Doesn't mean that it's okay, but we're called to do these things. So I'm going to leave you with this word and encouragement. And again, going in line with the book, I'm going to read the back. And it says, by addressing the internal obstacles that make forgiving ourselves, others, and the past seem unattainable, we can reframe and release what is hindering us from healing our deepest hurts as we progress in our purpose and indulge in the freedom of letting go of what's behind and embracing what is and what is to come. If you are just getting on this live, if you've been on this live, I know this was an intimate group for a reason. There was something that you needed to hear. And it's not just, again, it's here for the book. Who cares? I mean, that's terrible marketing, but you know, I want you to get the message over the marketing of this, okay? I need you to hear me. There are things that you have to let go of. And I know it hurts. I know you probably went through hell. I know that people may not believe, people may not ask, they may not understand, but God saw it all. He knows it all. And if you are in the wrong, He's forgiven you, and He's waiting for you to forgive yourself. If other people hurt you and you feel like they got away with it, no one gets away with anything. But it's not for you to seek revenge. It's not for you to correct. Sometimes you have to leave room for wrath and keep it moving. Take those lessons. Take what you've learned. Take all that you've acquired and apply it. But whatever you do, move forward. Because sulking in it and suffering with it, listen, it's only going to hold you back. There's so much more for your life. There's so much joy and peace and freedom ahead of you. There's so much opportunity for joy, peace, and freedom in this present season for you. But you cannot take those weights of shame, guilt, anger, resentment, condemnation, fear, insecurity. you have to remove them so that your blessings and your joy and your abundance can take that place. So that even if people hurt you, you have to say, okay, I learned, but let me make room for people that are assigned and aligned to my life. Even if you let yourself down, you have to let that wiser version of yourself say, okay, but I know better now, and with these lessons and with this insight, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make an impact with this. It's all about changing your mind and changing your life. So I love you guys. I hope that something in this conversation blessed you, of course. Get your copy of The Freedom of Forward. It's on Amazon. It's on modernmorgan.com. It's on all my platforms in a link. But most importantly, know that you're not alone, that I see you, I hear you, I understand you, and I love you. And all things work together. Let these words and what we shared, let that resonate with you. And love always.